7 o'clock on May 26th. I call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Westwood Planning Board remote meeting. All meetings are video recorded by Westwood Media Center and filmed live on WMC's YouTube and local government channel 12 and Verizon channel 42. I just wanted to confirm, is that true for this evening's call as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes.
great. As a friendly reminder, please turn off your cell phone ringers and please stay muted while not speaking to assist with clear audio. The meeting will be civil and all people will be treated respectfully. The format of the meeting will be when an item is called by the chair, the applicant will present their application to the board. The board will proceed to staff comments. The board members will ask questions of the applicant and have board discussion. For public hearing items, the public will then be given an opportunity to comment. Items that are not a public hearing, the opportunity for public comment will be at the discretion of the chair. Please only one person speak at a time and allow a moment for the Zoom audio lag to catch up to the speaker. When it is time for the public comment period, the town planner as the Zoom host will ask those wishing to speak to use the raise hand feature in Zoom or type a question in the Q&A section. To raise hand, click on the icon labeled participants at the bottom center of the screen. At the bottom of the participant window, click the button labeled raise hand and wait for the host to unmute you. You may then click lower hand after. For those participating by phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and wait for the host to unmute you. Once unmuted, please identify yourself by stating your name and address for the record. Please direct all comments and questions through the chair, and all people will be given the opportunity to speak, but in the best interest of time and fairness, repetitive off-topic comments for public comment may be cut short. And in addition to that, so Abby, I just want to make sure that all board members are unmuted. So that looks to be true because they're at the Zoom panelist level. And then could you also please unmute the council who represent board members and the board? This would include Attorney Goldberg representing the board if she is in attendance. I don't see that she is in attendance. Attorney O'Loughlin and Attorney Horn representing me. And Deb, is Attorney Ralph present at the meeting tonight? You're on mute.
No.
Okay. So if you could just make sure that Attorney Horn and Attorney O'Loughlin are on the level. So I see Attorney Horn and I see Tom. Attorney Horn and Attorney O'Loughlin, are you able to speak when you unmute? Just to test.
I believe I am. Well, can you hear me?
I can hear you. And what about you, Attorney O'Loughlin? Are you able to unmute when you need to? Okay, we'll test in a bit. So the meeting is through remote participation through Zoom due to the COVID-19 state of emergency and in compliance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's emergency order imposing limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. Through this, the votes will be by roll call by order of seniority. And so let's begin. So the first item on the agenda is is meeting minutes. So why don't we cover that since it's listed first. So I emailed out the May 21st meeting minutes to board members, and I wanted to see if any board members will go through roll call individually to see if you have any comments to those minutes that I emailed out. So Dave, do you have any comments on the minutes?
Well, which minutes should we use?
So it's the minutes that I emailed out yesterday.
Don't we also have minutes from Jessica from the meeting?
Yeah, so those came out today. So if there's anything that you are interested in bringing to the meeting minutes, but the meeting minutes that we're reviewing for approval and modification is the ones that I emailed out yesterday.
So I don't have anything to add to the both sets of either set seemed to capture the meeting, and we always have the video recording as the true record of what happened. So good.
Okay, Deb, do you have any comments on the minutes that I emailed out yesterday? Okay, and you're muted, just so you know. So no comments, Deb?
No comments.
Okay. And Chris, do you have any comments to the minutes that were emailed out yesterday?
I'm just curious. It's the first time we've ever had two different sets of minutes for a meeting. I'm curious why that is.
Well, the set that I sent out yesterday was because tonight is potentially my last meeting on the board, so I wanted to make sure that this board dealt with all of the board duties that we had. And meeting minutes typically don't, in recent history, they don't come out for weeks and even a month. So, so the minutes that we're reviewing are the ones that were emailed yesterday. If there's anything that you'd like to add to that, you can.
Just that I think that the meeting minutes that were sent out, taken by Jessica, more accurately reflect some of my comments at the last meeting. So I would prefer that these minutes be voted in, as I think personally they're more accurate.
Okay, so are you making a motion to that effect?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt Jessica Cole's minutes for the meeting of May the 21st.
I'll second that.
Okay. And so we have a motion and a second. So any comments from the board? So Dave?
Nope.
Deb?
So I'm wondering why we just can't insert Chris's comments into the other minute if you feel there's a discrepancy.
Well, I was told to, well, not told, but I asked for my comments, and I thought that those reflected how the meeting went. So if we want to, I don't understand. If we've never had it where the chairman submitted minutes. I know why we did it last time, but I didn't understand, especially given that Jessica gave us minutes this morning for a 30-minute meeting. That a page and a half of minutes could certainly be reviewed in time for tonight's meeting. So I didn't understand, and so I was suggesting we adopt Jessica's minutes as we have for as long as she's been hired by the town. I didn't understand why we needed to. So I was asked for comments. That was my comment.
So do you just want to add that comment into your minutes then, Brian, or?
Well, I think Chris made a motion to utilize Jessica's minutes.
Yeah.
So Deb, do you have any further comments?
I don't.
And Chris?
No.
Bill, do you have any comments?
No.
So you know what, Brian, I have to go back because I'm kind of confused because I'm not really sure what the significant difference was between the two of them. So I'd really need to go back and look at the two of them again. I can't say which one trumps the other. I also have a hard time getting on the website these days, and I'm not sure why. And it's taking forever to download anything. So, I mean, if you want to go ahead with the meeting, I'll have to abstain because I don't know which one trumps the other. So.
And Bill, do you have any comments?
No, I saw your minutes from yesterday. I haven't seen her minutes from today. So I can't go with her minutes.
With an abstain, and it sounds like Bill is needing to abstain also from that
No,
particular.
I'm not going to abstain. I'm not going to abstain. I'm not going to.
We had a motion
You
and a
can't say
second.
what he's going to do, Chris.
I didn't move it to a vote. So Bill, do you have any other comments?
Yeah, I'm not abstaining. Now, you haven't seen her minutes. They came in late, so I'm not abstaining.
So my comment is that, so I sent out the minutes. Mine are more to the point as far as the motions that were made. It doesn't include a lot of additional items to make it more of a transcript type of minute. I also found errors within those minutes, and Jessica's were also provided I got them at noontime today because similar to you, I wasn't able to get to the website. So I would like to use the minutes that I produced as the minutes that we adopt and modify as need be. To Deb's point, I would use my minutes, and then if there's anything from Jessica's that you would want to add in, then you can certainly do so.
So when did Jessica's come in? Because the only one I saw was the one that said updated minutes.
Those were from me, and those were from yesterday. Jessica's came in today. There was an email from Abby at 10:30 a.m. today. So usually we don't get minutes in time. I don't know why these came in at 10:30. So again, I would recommend that we vote. We would want to use mine and then adopt anything. So if Chris wants to add anything to my minutes.
We had a motion and a
Oh,
second,
Chris.
and it just kind of fell by the wayside.
You know, we're in discussion.
Oh.
So I would not support using Jessica's because of the timing of it and the fact that I found some errors right off the bat within it. And so why don't we move to a roll call vote? So this would be Chris's motion is to utilize Jessica's minutes. So roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
I didn't see her minutes, so I can't say. I don't. I mean, if I have to choose between the two of them, I read the ones that you sent. I did not see her minutes, so I'd have to say no.
So that's so Chris
Aye.
and Bill
No.
and no for me, so that fails. Okay, so Chris, do you have any other comments? Anything from Jessica's that you would like to add to the minutes that I sent out yesterday?
Well, looks like from the beginning of the email I received, basically everything she writes on page 2. I think accurately depicts what happened, including all motions and voting records, more accurately than I believe what I read in the minutes I received last night. So I would.
What is your motion? Because I'm looking at the minutes now.
I make a motion to incorporate verbatim Jessica's minutes in her first 2 paragraphs of page 2 into the meeting minutes.
Could you read those, Chris? Because I don't have those.
Yeah.
I didn't see those.
They read, he also wanted to insert Ms. Goldberg's comments. My job is to counsel the board, and that's what we've been trying to do. In my experience, a response such as the one the planning board has drafted would not typically be viewed as responsive. I will state for the record that in my experience, this type of response does not suffice. He said, simply stating in the minutes, Attorney Goldberg shared her opinion that discussion should take place about the allegation, doesn't reveal the full tone of her comments, and that she was trying to guide the board in a direction dealing with these allegations. Next paragraph reads, Mr. Atkins and Mr. Paff both spoke for about 2 minutes each, and there was 1 sentence in the minutes. Mr. Paff does not believe that their voices were conveyed in the minutes. He proposed that an attempt be made to convey more strenuously what Mr. Atkins and Mr. Paff discussed, this at the end of the March 17th, 2020 meeting. He felt that the writing in the minutes was a bit dismissive. Mr. Paff wants to include Mr. Atkins, and Mr. Paff strenuously disagreed, and he wants Attorney Goldberg's comments written verbatim as stated above, add strong in quotation marks in front of the word opposition.
So that is, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so I hear Dave Atkins. So to discussion, so Dave,
So I feel like this is kind of a pointless exercise here. I mean, we have at the beginning of the meeting, it was announced that Jessica was here at the meeting as usual to take notes. She turned around the meeting minutes within 5 days. What's so different that it was necessary for the chair to write up the meeting notes on his own? We've had a lot of times when meeting notes came in, there were corrections or changes and things, and you just take it on to the next meeting. Or if people aren't ready to support it at that time, you just go to the next meeting. I've never seen an email from the chair to all the other board members without including Abby or anyone else, just an email to all the board members with something like this to discuss at the next meeting. It's just why don't we just accept what we had there with because at the beginning of the meeting it was announced. That's why she came to the meeting, and that's why she's paid to come to the meetings. So, I mean, I'm supporting Mr. Pfaff's motion to incorporate the text of what was written for this board. That's it.
okay, so then we have Deb. Do you have any comments?
So honestly, I cannot, and I'll go back to what I said originally, I cannot, I'd have to put the two side by side. I do know that we have been in, it's been concerning about violations in terms of getting these minutes approved because they've been very slow in coming. And Jessica, I'm not saying that's your fault. There's been a lot going on, but I think we need to move a little bit more quickly. We need to pick the minutes more as to who said what. And so I cannot, without looking at them side by side, make a determination.
And Chris, do you have any additional comments?
No, I know the board voted against us adopting Jessica's. So I'm just my motion was to ask that those two paragraphs be incorporated in. I just read them in their entirety. So any board member that is unsure, I think Jessica's minutes have been pushed to the wayside, and I'm asking that her two paragraphs be included in the other minutes that are up for debate.
And Bill, do you have any comments for discussion?
I wasn't looking for her minutes today because we normally don't get her minutes this quick. I don't know why we did, but I know Brian, it's his last meeting, so I understand why he wanted to make sure that we had an accurate account of what happened. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and I would say even for that, for the first, so you're done, Bill?
Yeah.
So for the first paragraph that Chris stated, that's already in my minutes. The minutes that I produced, I believe accurately state what was performed at that meeting. Again, I put together minutes and sent them out yesterday because today is my last meeting. I would prefer not to come back for another meeting to look at minutes. And I find it interesting that the minutes just show up the morning after I send out my minutes. Meeting minutes have been an issue. They've come in weeks and months. They've never come in that I can recall. So I would not support including Chris's two paragraphs into the minutes that were sent out yesterday.
Why don't you? Do they make them inaccurate? I don't understand why including that would be wrong.
One, it's redundant to what I included in mine.
Okay, so you indicated the first was redundant. What about the second paragraph?
Because I'm stating to you, I worked on my minutes yesterday.
Yes,
the board. Chris, if you interrupt me, this is out of order.
Stop it.
No, please let me finish. I gave the board more than 24 hours to review my minutes. The minutes that came in today allows board members 8 hours. I do wonder the timing of the minutes coming in, and I believe that mine accurately depict what occurred. There's the video that will show what occurred during the minutes, so I would not support the motion.
Can I make a recommendation? Can we move ahead with the rest of the stuff on the agenda and then take a recess for 5 minutes and take a look at the two sets of minutes and then vote
I'd
on
rather
them?
do it at this point in the meeting. We're at the,
I didn't see her minutes, so I can't. The only minutes I saw, Brian, were yours, so I can't vote on Chris. I can't vote on her minutes. I didn't see them.
I understand. I'm not even asking you to vote on Jessica's. Even if we want to take out the first one I suggested, since it's redundant with what Brian wrote, I just put in the second one. I don't understand why being accurate is all that important. Why a set that came in at 10 o'clock this morning is inaccurate simply because it came in second. I don't get it. We pay Miss Cole to take our minutes. She did that. And now we're pushing them aside because Brian felt he needed to have this done for him. If it was me at my last board meeting, would I take it upon myself to write minutes so that you all, I don't understand why. I've never had this, some outgoing board member take it upon themselves to write minutes for some reason. So I don't understand why they're inaccurate simply because they came in at 10 o'clock this morning.
first of all, I never knew that those meeting minutes were coming today. Never knew they were coming.
But they're here now. We pay, the town paid her to do it. She did it and you're pushing them aside. I don't get it.
It's the responsibility of the chair to ensure that the meeting minutes are performed. So that's what I'm doing. This is my last meeting. So we've had discussion. I think we should move it to a vote.
I just would say it's never been an issue in the past. I mean, I've been on the board for 4 years, I guess, and I don't know that it's ever been a big concern at the end of the year that there was going to be a change of people. I mean, there would be 4 people still who were at the meeting, and I'm not getting it. I don't see the point. So,
I think you do get it. Yeah.
Hey, Brian, can you read me your minutes? In comparison to what? Okay, I don't know how to get back on Zoom here, so.
You wanted me to read my full set of minutes? Or
No, just the part that Chris is speaking about.
Yeah, so March 17th. So with regards to strong, so Chris Paff made a motion to insert the word strong into that sentence in front of the word opposition to read, during discussion, Dave Atkins and Chris Paff spoke in strong opposition and that they would not support the letter. Dave Atkins seconded the motion. The roll call vote passed 3-2 as follows. Dave Atkins, yes. Deb Conant, yes. Chris Paff, yes. Then as far as the first paragraph, Chris Paff made a motion to replace the sentence of the draft minutes from Special Town Council Attorney Lauren Goldberg shared her opinion that there should be discussion about the allegation and addressing the complaint. To change that to Special Town Council Attorney Lauren Goldberg shared her opinion. My job is to counsel the board, and that is what I have been trying to do. In my experience, a response such as the one that the planning board has drafted would not typically be viewed as responsive. I would state for the record that in my experience, this type of response does not suffice. So it includes all of the language. I believe that captures what occurred at the meeting and includes all the voting history.
So Chris, it does actually say exactly what you're saying. So
The first paragraph does. I agree.
Version.
I said withdraw the first paragraph. The second paragraph refers to the fact that both Mr. Atkins and I spoke for 2 minutes with only one sentence making it into the minutes. The first version we got last night makes no reference to that. So I believe it more accurately depicts what happened in that meeting on May the 21st.
You just want to say you spoke for 2 minutes? Is that what you want to say?
All I'm asking is that paragraph from the second paragraph that Jessica wrote be adopted into Brian's. You can keep Brian's, the whole other part of it. I'm just asking that one paragraph be added into it. That's it. I don't
So
understand why that's such a big deal since it came in at 10 o'clock this morning instead of 8 o'clock last
You
night.
withdrawing your original motion?
Well, it got shut down, so I don't know that I need to withdraw it. It was voted down.
You would have to withdraw it, or we move to vote. So you can
Fine, I'll-
withdraw your motion, and as you and Deb are talking about, make a motion to add.
I'll withdraw that previous motion and make a motion that we adopt Jessica's second paragraph, beginning with the words Mr. Atkins and finishing with the word opposition.
We have
Into
a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Chris, what is your motion now? So
I'm just asking that we adopt Jessica's second paragraph referencing. So it says, Mr. Atkins and Mr. Path both spoke for about 2 minutes. To get that paragraph beginning, ending with her sentence, add the word strong in front of the word opposition.
All right, so I will second that motion. So the other motion was withdrawn, and so now this is the motion to add this paragraph.
We have a motion and a second. So going to discussion by roll call. Dave?
Aye.
This is for
Discussion.
discussion.
Gotcha.
Discussion on the motion, Dave.
Discussion on the motion.
Discussion. No, I support the motion to add that paragraph in.
Okay, Deb, do you have any comment? Chris?
No.
Bill?
No, but you know, I've mentioned before, and I belong to other boards, and we always get our minutes like a week or two after a meeting, and sometimes here we're waiting a month or 2 months or what have you, and all of a sudden we get one, you know, 8 hours before we have a meeting from the last meeting. It's very unusual. Okay, but that's all I have to say.
And the only thing I would say is I don't see the relevancy of that paragraph. We've already dealt with that before. So I do not think that paragraph is needed at all. Okay, so we've had discussion, so roll call vote. So Dave?
Was this on the amendment?
This is on the single paragraph from Chris.
And then aye.
And Deb?
You calling me?
Yeah.
Aye.
So that's an aye.
Yes.
And Chris?
Aye.
And Bill?
No.
Okay, and a no for me as well. So that passes 3-2. Chris, do you have anything else?
No.
Then moving forward, so we've already asked for Dave for the minutes. Deb, we've done Chris. So Bill, do you have any comments to the minutes that were emailed to you yesterday?
No, that's fine.
Yeah. And I don't either. So if somebody would like to make a motion to adopt the minutes as amended this evening. I would welcome that.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes received by Chairman Brian Gorman with the addition that was just voted on by way of a motion from myself.
We have a motion. Do you have a second? Was that you, Dave, that seconded?
Second.
Okay, great. Any discussion? So Dave, discussion?
Nope.
Deb?
No discussion.
Chris?
No.
Bill?
No.
And I don't either. So roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Bill?
All right.
And I for me as well. So that those minutes as amended are adopted. Thank you very much. And then we received a second set of minutes. What was the date on those minutes?
The May 12th minutes.
May 12th. Okay. Okay, so May 12th. So let's same role. So Dave, do you
Have no comments on these minutes.
Deb, do you have any comments in the minutes? Chris?
No.
Bill?
No.
And the only question I had, Abby, is March 2nd, it references that we approved those minutes. Was that the FinCom meeting?
Yes, that was the joint meeting with FinCom.
Okay, so that went under select board as a meeting. Up at the library, is that where it was?
Yes, it was the meeting at the library.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you for that. I don't have any comments, so I would welcome a motion to approve those minutes as provided. If somebody wanted to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve these the minutes from the 12th.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So for discussion, so Dave, discussion, anything?
No discussion.
Deb?
No.
Chris?
No.
And Bill?
No.
And nothing for me as well. So by roll call vote to approve the minutes. Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And Bill?
All right.
And I for me as well. So those minutes are accepted, 5-0. And so moving to, that's that agenda item. So meeting minutes, so that's all set. So moving to the next agenda item on for the evening. And let me pull that on. So this is 247 Station Drive. Is the applicant here to present?
Yes, hi, Chairman Gorman and members of the board. My name is Sean Mahoney from SAI Communications. I am the real estate consultant for Verizon Wireless, and we are proposing a EIDR permit for 247 Station Drive. The reason for this request to move on to this building is mostly real estate driven. Verizon's had a site for over 20 years at 690 Canton Street that is become untenable, and we're unable to upgrade the facility enough to give the best coverage in the area. With the growth along University Ave, there is no way we could conceivably continue to provide the coverage we want in that area on the existing building. So part of our proposal here is to install antennas at the about 47-foot center line on 247 Station Drive. The highest point on the building is 56 feet, so we're below the highest point of the building. Once we're able to activate this site, we will decommission and remove everything from 690 Canton Street. We've provided the slide you may see in front of you right now does show a drawing of the proposed design. The antennas will be on the southeasterly face and the southerly face of the building in two different antenna groups. There'll be 9 antennas, 6 remote radio heads, and the ancillary equipment. The radio cabinets are going to be placed behind the large screen wall, so they won't be seen. The only thing that'll technically be visible is the antennas on the mounts. We're reusing Metro PCS's equipment that Metro PCS used to be on this building, and they removed most of their equipment. And to the extent we're able to, we're going to be reusing their cable trays and their equipment pad, the steel frame pad, which, as I mentioned, will be completely hidden from view. You see before you on the screen right now a photo representation from, I believe this is down by the Wegmans, where you can see it's in the scale of the building, the antennas are not going to appear very large. And we think it's a good location and a good design for this large building. We didn't want to add too many extraneous screening or anything, because it would look like large walls standing out all by themselves for no particular reason. And architecturally, I don't think it would have worked. Submitted with the application. Submitted with the application, we did provide a copy of the plans, a radio frequency report from C-squared, a structural analysis, and the photo simulation is an example of what you're seeing here. Would be willing to answer any questions you have on this, but again, the main reason for the move is because of the existing site not being feasible for much longer, and this being a much better site to cover the area in and around University Ave. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. With me is Keith Valente from C-squared and Greg Seekier from Chapel Engineering. C-squared was the one that did the radio frequency report that shows the coverage maps. Greg was involved with the design of the facility on the building. And would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. And Abby, are there any comments from any consultants or staff?
I have no further comments at this time. We did distribute to all the staff and they didn't have any concerns. Other than the fire department did ask about any possible interference with emergency communications. So I would suggest a common standard condition that we have for when after a facility is installed to have a peer review report submitted to demonstrate that there's no conflict with emergency communication.
And did you hear back from the applicant with regards to that? As the applicant wanted to
we find that acceptable. That's perfectly fine. There shouldn't be any sort of interference. Verizon operates in its own licensed bandwidth, so if there's any bleed over, it would probably come the other direction.
Okay. And Abby, anything else from any other staff?
No other comments, no concerns.
Okay. So now we'll go to board review and any questions. So starting with you, Dave, do you have any questions?
So the 690 Canton Street, is that are all of the cell phone equipment, all the cell phone antennas, are they all being removed, or is it still going to have Sprint or somebody else there?
It is still going to have Sprint or somebody else there. It's just the Verizon antennas, and I know that building has a significant amount up there, but just the Verizon antennas will come down.
Okay, yeah, because I remember, I think it's only a couple of years ago we approved something there.
Last summer.
And then the only concerns I had were the visual. I think one of the pictures in particular, the very front of the building, it does look like a major thing on top of the building there. And you kind of described how you considered alternatives. Could you talk a little bit more about that and how you came to the conclusion that this is really the best look versus trying to do some shielding or something?
We had to place the antennas out at the edges of the building. It gives us the best ability to aim the antennas into our coverage area and what we want to do. And anytime you put anything in front of the antennas, it will block a bit of the signal, and it'll put up an extra wall that architecturally doesn't fit on the building. This isn't, for example, this is an old mill building where you can make a false chimney, or an old brownstone where you can put a false chimney and maybe hide something. You have a very large screen wall on this building that if we were to put two other large screen walls in front of it, I think it would affect the appearance more negatively than allowing natural light to go through the open antennas. The photo I think you're referring to is on the property. So it's not taken from a neighboring property. It's taken from basically right under the building. So yes, it is going to look a lot more significant. The antennas are 6 to 8 feet tall. So, I mean, if you're very close, then yes, it is going to appear that it's very large. But I think the main concern for the board generally is appearances from abutting properties in public ways. And I think we show on those other photos from public ways that it light passes through, they look much less substantial from a distance.
Okay, that was my only concern. I think it's from a distance, it is, I can see what you mean. I think up close, it definitely is. It's obvious that there's something up there. Do you know if the Metro PCS, were they in the same, did they have the same kind of configuration, or how? I don't remember what that looked like, but
I am not 100% sure. I believe they may have had one antenna, and it may have been on just the screen wall, but I'm not 100% sure. And the reason they might have been able to do that is they might have had different coverage objectives, so they didn't have to worry about a down tilt on the antennas or essentially broadcasting into the side of the building. They may have been broadcasting straight out, so they didn't have to worry about the signal being cut off if they were on the screen. But I can't, verify that's exactly what happened with them.
all right, that's all I've got.
Okay, Deb?
So how long have you been at 690 Canton Street?
The lease has been there since 1996, and I was looking at some information today, and this seems to be some discrepancy. It's sometime after 1996 that they've been on Canton Street.
The equipment's been up there?
Yes.
So I just, one of the major components of the application is the visual.
Mhm.
And I mean, I get on there a lot. We put that in our comprehensive plan as being a possible town center, if you may. And I just don't think that aesthetically is going to look, I mean, if you find that those 9 antennas aren't going to be sufficient and you'll want to add more, you'll come back to us again. So we're going to have a building that will be full of antennas. And I just don't understand why there's not a way to shield those more appropriately. Because the way it looks in the picture, it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing.
No, and it's one of those things where you try to weigh what's going to look most aesthetically pleasing, in my opinion, obviously. Letting light pass through on these things that are off center with the rest of the design of the building seems to make more sense than putting larger boxes that may or may not look like they belong there.
You didn't bring a presentation of what either would look like. You just brought one of just the antennas.
Yes, yeah, it was the preferred design for the main reason that light flowing through generally would appear better on a building such as this. It doesn't have architectural components that we could necessarily, as I mentioned, a false chimney on a rooftop on a small old mill building or something like that.
No, I get it. But when you drive down to some of these facilities where you see all these antennas on these buildings, it makes it look not as attractive. And I'm not sure that's what we want for that area. So, I mean, personally, I don't think that visually that's something I would want to see, especially when I'm down there so much. So whether you have an alternative to show us.
Now, at this time, we don't. We have it proposed as is. It does match the design of the 690 Canton Street. That building has antennas, and I understand that doesn't look great with all those antennas.
690 is way back. You can't see it. But when you pull into University, you see that building. That's in a prime location. You can see as soon as you pull in, and that's my only gripe with that.
Understood. If it's a request of the board to add some screening, we can certainly look into that as a condition. I personally don't think there'll be a way to screen it with those antennas and the locations that they're in. I don't think there's a way necessarily that we'll be able to screen it that will be any less offensive.
Coming out with new methods, though, to do the antennas so that they're not as visible like that, or no?
Not really. They still need to be out and reasonably clear. We have to put them where the building owner will allow us, obviously. And as I mentioned, anytime you put anything in front of the antennas, you're going to have ever so slight, because there is fiberglass material, but there is still something that can degrade the signal a little bit. So
And when you screen it, how much do you degrade the signal? What are we talking here? What percentage?
But I don't have that information on it. But again, it is a slight degrading, and it's additional cost and it's additional weight on the building that, yeah, if you really would like to add the screening, we can go back and have it as a condition and we can add screening. With the design that we have, and again, my opinion is I don't think it would look good on the building. But that's obviously not my ultimate decision. So
Can you share that screenshot again? I think it really kind of captures this. It's proposed photo number 1, I think, in the packet.
mm-hmm. That's probably not included on the PowerPoint.
Okay, hold on.
I was more focused on the photos from the public ways for the PowerPoint. I wanted to keep it reasonably simple.
Hold on. I'm just pulling up the packet submittal of the photo simulations right now. I think it was, yep. Okay. I think it's just catching up to you now. Oops. Are you able to see it on the screen yet?
Nothing's coming up
Oh, hold on.
on mine.
Okay, just a minute. I can see it on mine.
Yeah, still nothing. We can see the header. There we go. And then we can see your files.
Oh. I don't know why it's not working.
Then maybe it's that application. Can you do you have a snipping tool that if you pretended that you were going to snip it, it might show in that application? Do you have snippet? Yeah, if you haven't used it, don't bother.
I could try to share it from my screen.
Okay.
I know it's starting to creep down a little bit, but it's still slow.
I don't know. All right, let me see.
You want to give? Why don't we give Dave a try?
Okay.
Do you want to share?
All right. Let's see, Dave, you might be able to try it.
Yeah,
Oh.
we can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what struck me is like, I mean, it's like there's the crossbars are up there, and then there's these 4 white cylinders, and I mean, from a far away, I can get it, like you don't have a big box on top of the building, but up close, it's like it really is kind of crowning the building there with this, like with 4 little cylinders.
I don't disagree. This is taken from right at the foot of the building, well onto the property, and I believe the intent is the appearance from public ways. Again, if it comes down to it, and the board requires it, we can look into screening the wall. My concern would be you wouldn't be pleased with the results.
Mr. Mahoney, I had a question with regard to this. What would be the difference between screening and loss of signal, and maybe pushing those back so that they don't appear to show the entire height on the edge of the building?
If you push it back, you'll have to bring the antennas up. So for every foot you're going back, you're going to have to raise the antennas.
You eliminate that benefit of moving it back.
Exactly.
I mean, I personally would like to see a little bit more data in terms of what we're looking at in terms of reduction of service with the screening and what the screening may look like, because I don't want to see us approve this and then, 6 months down the line have to approve 9 more antennas. It just aesthetically doesn't, it's just not pleasing.
If the board would like to condition approval that we install screening, we can we can do that.
I'd like to see the screening before we approve that, or make that as a condition.
Well,
Personally, I would. I can't think you would.
I also wonder if, I mean, my objection to this is more like the scaffolding behind it. I mean, it's, if it were just, I know it needs to be supported in some way, but the part that's the ugliest about this to me is that it looks like there's like a billboard up there that's missing the sign, and instead there are these 4 cylinders, and 2 of them are higher than the other 2. And it's just, I would think that rather than, you don't want to put a big wall in front of that, but I mean, couldn't it be done a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to just have the 4 antennas up there and minimize the visibility of that scaffolding behind it?
If the board wants to see additional designs, then obviously this would have to probably request a further date to be able to produce them and continue the hearing.
I had a related question, Mr. Mahoney, if you could. You mentioned, I think you used the word at 690 Canton Street, it's a bit of an untenable situation, I think, to use your word. I'm curious if that, is that the right word? Did I use the word?
I believe I probably used it.
And if it's lease related, that's between you and the owner of the building, so I don't need to get involved with that. But is it a physical issue, given the presence of the Eversource building that wasn't there in '96 when you mounted things on Canton Ave? Is it the presence of that building where you're trying to address the people or the entities on University Ave now?
Well, I think there's probably multiple factors. I don't know when this building, the Eversource building at Station Drive, was built, so I don't know
Up in the
why.
early 2000s.
Okay. So there are leasing issues, certainly, that is making it untenable, and that's a major thrust of it.
Okay.
That
has nothing to do with us, so I don't want to
Right.
delve into that.
Right.
My concern is all of those people, and you said, someone said there's Metro PCS is on this building already?
They are no longer on this building.
So no one is on Eversource currently?
No, we would be the first.
So my concern, and I think Debbie made this point earlier, are we gonna see now other people coming over, and all of these units, are you the first one to stake your flag in the ground, and you got the good by the edge location, and now we have to deal with AT&T, Sprint, Metro, whoever else coming over for the better location of Eversource compared to 690. Better for whatever reason, physical, lease-wise, whatever. So it's a bit of a concern of mine that everyone's going to want the long building front of Eversource, like you've obviously claimed from the building owner. So that's a concern of mine going forward is what are we looking at? I know you're not concerned about the other companies involved, but that is a concern in the back of our minds. So we're trying to make this look, while giving you as much coverage as possible, because to allow you to build something that doesn't work is pointless.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd like you to work very well. I'm sure members of the board use Eversource or use Verizon. So I'm sure whenever you're down there, everyone enjoys it when it works. So we're just trying to work together to come up with something that works for everybody.
No, and I wholeheartedly support that. Again, if the board would like to see different designs, then I would respectfully request a continuance of the hearing to give us a chance to provide you with some.
Okay, so it sounds like that's something that we would. Dave, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see a better, another try at the design of this. And like I said, it's not so much about blocking the whole thing, but I think it could be put up there in a way that is less, it doesn't look like it was not finished, just kind of how it looks right now.
And then Deb, what do you think about that?
I agree.
Chris?
I agree. The crossbars are a little off-putting visually.
And then Bill, how do you feel about that? And also, you didn't have the chance to add any questions or comments. So how do you feel about that request, suggestion, and do you have any other questions?
Yeah, aesthetically, I can't believe that you don't have something somewhere that you could probably take a look at and probably take that design and apply it to this building. There has to be a way that that can be aesthetically pleasing, I would think. So,
And Sean, this is my last meeting with the board, so so as far as continuing the hearing, like to see a new, I think to look at some alternatives would be nice, but I won't be sitting on the board. It would be a new member. So any other comments from the board? It sounds like the hearing may need to be continued to provide that type of information. And is there a date, Abby, that you would recommend?
The next meetings that you have regularly scheduled are June 16th and June 30th. So I would ask the applicant, timing on what you can put together. If June 16th, I think is about, is that 3 weeks away? Is it?
Why don't we do the 30th?
June 30th.
If there's nothing else, and then public comment, we should probably take public comment. So if there's anything from the public, do I need to restate the instructions for that, Abby? Or do you see anybody on the line that's raising?
I would just remind everyone, if anyone has, I only see, I don't know that anyone's here, but if anyone is listening, you can ask a public comment by raising your hand by pressing *9 on your phone, or in the Zoom, go to the participant mode and hit raise hand. And we'll just give anyone an opportunity.
And then Abby, anything else besides, obviously if somebody wants to make a motion to continue it, but we'll just give the public one more second. And is the applicant, do you have any final comments to the board?
I do not at this time.
And seeing nothing from the public, Abby?
No, I don't see any
Okay.
hands.
So I would welcome a motion to continue to, did you say June 16th?
June 30th.
Do we have to list the location? Because we don't know if we'll be.
I would say remote meeting Tuesday, June 30th at 7 p.m. and it'll be remote meeting through Zoom, and we can post the exact Zoom info as that meeting gets closer.
So we have a motion from Deb to move it to June 30th. Is there a second?
Second it.
That's second by Chris. Any discussion? Roll call. So Dave?
No discussion.
Deb? None from Deb. Chris?
No.
And Bill, anything from you?
No.
And nothing from me as well. So roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
And Chris?
Aye.
Bill?
aye.
And aye for me, so that motion passes. So to continue the hearing. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. And next on the agenda is item number 3, open space and recreation, continued public hearing. This is approved by the planning board February 2019 and received conditional approval from Mass DCR in July 2019. The Mass approval requested further edits, and this hearing was continued to allow more time to review the requested additions and changes to the OSRP. So Abby, why don't you walk us through where we are for this?
Sure. You have in your packet for the last couple of weeks since our last meeting an updated open space and recreation plan. If you recall, the planning board approved this in early 2019 after in 2018 a committee was created that worked on this report. Brian was the planning board representative on that committee. After the planning board adopted it, it went to the state, and the state did conditionally approve that in July last summer, and did ask for additional information to be included in the report. So we do have updated in May this year. We had the red line version in your packet. It's there's nothing that would substantially change the plan, but there is items requested to include in the introduction, such as the advertisement that we used and the details for the public hearing, the dates of the newspaper, dates of specific dates of various postings of getting the information out. We updated the chart about the conservation restrictions and what kind of specific land restrictions are on each property. Added a little bit more narrative on things like the water resources, some of the vegetation. Added some more environmental challenges. And there was a question on the assessment of the ADA evaluation form. Make sure all properties are included. The consultant did let us know that all the recreation facilities or properties with any kind of man-made features was included, but added a note that the conservation lands that were just open lands with no parking lots or no trails or boardwalks didn't include an evaluation form. So our recommendation tonight is for you to have review this, then send this to the local regional planning agency for their comments. Then after they review it, they may or may not have comments that should go back to you. And then you would then take one more vote to send that back, a final version to the final review. So if you've had a chance to review any of these additional changes tonight, I would ask you to consider forwarding this on to MAPC.
Okay, so thank you. Dave, do you have any questions, comments for it?
My only question, I think I just answered it. I was looking through, I saw one section had been deleted, but then I see that it was just moved into another section there. So I could kind of go through all the different edits here, and it looks good to me. I don't see anything substantially different. I see things added to answer questions. So I think it's good to go, and we should go ahead and send it to MAPC.
Okay, Deb, do you have any comments or questions? Oh, you're on mute for right now.
I was not in support of this plan, so it would be hypocritical of me to accept changes to it. So, no. I have nothing else to say.
And then Chris?
I have no comments other than I am in favor of moving this along.
And Bill?
I didn't see anything about walls, stone walls, preserving them, protecting them. I mean, you have stone walls that have been around in Westwood for almost 400 years, and I don't see that in there.
There's a reference to scenic roads in there we talked about. Our scenic roads bylaw, and some of the roads that are designated scenic roads, that does include reviewing any changes or removals of stone walls and trees.
But they're not. But that doesn't encompass a lot of the stone walls, because we have stone walls that not necessarily line the roads, but go through property, and they're being destroyed. And they were built, some of them like 1630, 1640 in this town, and I think they should be preserved. I mean, they've been around almost 400 years, and I think they should be preserved somehow, some way.
What language were you thinking about including in the open space and recreation plan with regards to that? And
well, I'd like to see
those would be walls within our
boundary walls.
I'm just trying to be specific with your suggestion as far as are you Obviously, if somebody bought a house and there was a wall, I think that they would be able to do what they wanted to do with the wall. So what would you like to see in this plan that would be applicable?
I'd like to see the wall protected.
Yeah, but
I would like to
I don't
see the
think you
wall.
can
If they
tell.
bought a house and the wall had been there and has been there since 1650, I would like to see that wall protected. It's a boundary wall. I'm sure it's not on one person's property completely. It's probably shared. Probably the line goes right down the wall. But I would like to see walls that are like that protected.
Nora, this might be a question for you. Do the walls fall under the historic demolition?
No, they do not. The historic demolition bylaw covers structures. The typical stone walls that are along the road or boundaries between properties are less than 4 feet tall, and they're not considered structures.
Okay.
Right,
Well, I
but
think
they are historical and they should be protected.
Nora, is this a document that could offer protection to those walls, or is that more of a legal?
So I question exactly how they would be protected. Are you suggesting, Bill, that they be taken by eminent domain? That the town purchase all of the stone walls in town and therefore own them and then protect them?
I'm not suggesting that we own them, but that we protect them. In other words, that they become like maybe historical zoning. So if someone wants to, such as in certain areas, if someone wanted to paint their house a certain color and was a historical house, they couldn't do it unless it was exactly like it was before. Well, if you have a stone wall that's been built in 1650, you can't destroy it.
I think we understand the spirit of what you're saying, Bill. I'm just trying to, within the constraints of the open space and recreation plan, it sounds like some of what you're saying is that's zoning changes. So
that goes beyond zoning. I don't believe there's any state enabling legislation that would allow you to do that under zoning. You could consider whether you wanted to make the entire town a historic district. That there is historic district enabling legislation. It's a very high bar. It'd be very difficult. If you remember when we proposed the historic demolition bylaw, that went before the town meeting, I believe 3 times before it was approved, and it was approved in a very watered down format, which is extremely ineffective. If you're looking to now establish a historic district, which is a little bit different, and have that district control the entire town so that you could cover these stone walls and preserve them in that way, to actually take away people's property rights and require that they keep walls they don't want.
I just want to. So, Bill, you have your comment. You're interested in preserving stone walls. I think what you're asking for, do you want to put a bullet point in there that says something along the lines of consider protection of walls in the future? Because you can't say, I don't think that this plan itself can say we are going to preserve historic walls, but perhaps maybe there's some language that may be able to move in that direction for consideration.
Yes, I think before they're all destroyed, I would like to see language that would at least make people aware that these walls have historic relevance.
So, Abby, is there a section in that OS recreation plan that gives any of this type of information as far as description?
I mean, I think looking at goal one is protect and enhance Westwood's community character. And then there's a list of number of objectives under there. I think that's probably where it most likely fit in, because that's where we do talk about other historic structures and scenic roads. That's on.
I'm just saying, if you could read them out for the purpose of the meeting tonight. Is there a way to shine a light on this topic within that plan? And if there's any other board members that may have a recommendation for along the lines of Bill's item that can help us move forward.
Maybe investigate, a future bylaw for preservation of walls or something like that.
So Deb just gave a, what is that? How does that sound, Bill?
Yeah, I think it's something along those lines. We don't want to take people's property away, and many of the walls right now sit along property lines, so people aren't really disturbing them. But someone could buy another piece of property on the other side and remove it.
Yeah. No, I think we get the gist of what you're getting at. I think. So Deb, what did you say? And Abby, is this something that we could add to that?
Just maybe investigate a future bylaw to protect the historic walls at some point. I mean,
And that's not a binding
that's just a
statement.
thought. I don't know.
Yeah, as soon as you say historic, you have to identify a year.
Right, and I'm saying, where I said it's kind of hard to really capture that.
I know it's hard to do this right here in a matter of 5 minutes to come up with something that doesn't infringe on someone's property rights. But I think Abby's comment is, I think it does belong in goals. You can be fairly vague, I think, in that area of this document. It's not binding for the town, but it is something you need to do a lot more homework on than this.
Then why can't you have a blanket statement that just says investigate ways to protect stone walls?
Walls before 1700. We have a lot of walls in this town that were built before 1700. I'm going to say 1630 to 1650. Those are worth preserving.
Yeah, so I think, so I want to try to tidy up this topic. So it sounds like, Bill, you're interested in preserving historic walls. It sounds like there are challenges with that, bylaw challenges. And so one option is to include a non-binding statement within the OS recreation plan that would consider the preservation.
I might have an idea here. If you like around page 80 in the redlined version, you get into all the goals and in particular the management of conservation area goals. There's kind of a bullet list there. That could be a place where you could set a bullet point about recognizing the importance of the historic stone walls in any recreation or conservation land. Like I don't see how you can cover the private property, but I think if you put it in there as the goal related, it's part of how we manage these conservation lands, and that was a big part of the overall plan, was to say that we're going to identify the areas and then keep them, manage them better. And so one element of that could be to ensure that the character of the stone walls, if they're on any of those lands, are a part of that, or are recognized as being a significant part of the character.
So that's Chris, I'm sorry, David, along those lines, can you come up with a motion to add that? Is there a language that comes to mind that would lean towards what Bill is saying here? Like, what would that bullet point be? Because if we're going to include it, somebody needs to make a motion to include that.
I would recommend something along the line of investigate ways to preserve and protect stone walls, not necessarily call it a bylaw.
Right. So can you state that again, Abby?
Well, stone walls for a certain period. I'm not saying from 1950, but
yeah.
If you look at page 79, there are general goals, and the first general goal is to protect and enhance Westwood's community character. And then under that section, there are objectives. The first objective is continue process of identifying and protecting those places in town, such as open space, scenic, cultural, and natural features that are of special significance to the community. You could add onto the end of that bullet point, including historic stone walls.
How does that sound, Bill?
That
Do you want to, I'd entertain a motion if you are interested in that, Bill. So,
make a motion that we accept that historic town walls, and I'm going to say before 1700 in the town of Westwood.
I would leave it open, Bill,
Yeah.
because I don't know historically. My understanding was that the stone walls were built when all the land was cleared and farmers just piled up the stones, and that happened after like the 1600s. But I mean, I think you're okay just to have it be historic, maybe if you want to say older than 100 years or something, but whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
Nora,
the town,
what did you, could you repeat that sentence that you were?
Sure. It's on page 79 under the goal 1 of general goals and objectives.
Yeah.
And it currently reads, continue process of identifying and protecting those places in town, such as open space, scenic, cultural, and natural features that are of special significance to the community. And then I would add, comma, including historic stone walls.
So Bill, you could
Okay.
make a motion to accept for that additional sentence, that additional words from Nora, if you're interested in that.
that's acceptable. That's how it's written.
So you need to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the wording of that Nora added for historical stone walls.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. And is there any discussion? So going down the line, Dave,
Aye.
Deb?
Were we
Oh,
discussing?
no. This is for discussion.
Not vote.
Discussion. Ah,
Don't jump the gun, Dave.
Trying to railroad more
I know,
things
I know.
through.
no,
So-
do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Deb?
So I'm okay with the insertion of the historic preservation, but again, I was not supportive of the plan.
Okay. So Chris,
No.
Bill,
No, I just want that. The town pound is a that we have. That's a stone wall. I just wanted to say, but no other discussion. No. Thanks.
okay. Nothing from me. So now roll call vote. And then so Dave,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I for me as well. So that passes. Bill, do you have anything additional on the open space and recreation plan?
No, that's
Yeah, and I don't have anything additional for that. Thank you for the red line version. Is this a public hearing that we'd have to open it up to the floor?
Yes, this is a public hearing.
Okay. So I would ask now if there's anybody from the public that would wish to have a comment or question.
Can raise your hand by pressing *9 on the phone, or the go in participant view and hit raise your hand. Anyone has any questions?
Okay. Seeing none, hearing none. Okay. So I would entertain if there's no more comments from the board. So Dave,
Nope.
Deb, anything? Chris,
No.
Bill?
No.
And nothing else for discussion for me either. So I'd entertain a motion to accept it. We're looking to accept it and submit it. Is it a resubmittal? What is the motion?
A motion to submit this revised plan to MAPC.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
And go roll call discussion. So Dave,
No discussion.
Deb,
As I said before, I've not been a proponent of this. I don't feel like we really went out of our way to get input, so That's all I have to say.
And Chris?
No.
Bill?
No.
Okay, so now to roll call vote. So Dave,
Aye.
Deb? I couldn't hear you. I just want to get up for the record.
No.
No, okay. And Chris
Aye.
and Bill?
No.
Aye for me. So that's 3-2. Does that pass, Abby? For this?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passes. So then we need a motion to continue this hearing.
We're waiting for something to come back from MAPC.
Yes, I think they should have an opportunity to review it, and they may or may not have further comments that you should review. And then you should submit, so after you review those, you should review it and submit a formal letter back to the state. So for right now, I'll recommend continuing it to your July 21st meeting.
I would entertain that.
I make a motion to continue this discussion on the open space and recreation plan to our meeting on July 21st.
Do we have a second?
Second?
And any discussion? So Dave?
Nope.
Deb?
Is that a public hearing?
Yes, so that's a public hearing, and that would be 7 p.m. Thinking we go with a remote Zoom meeting again, but we'll provide further details on the specific public hearing details as that gets closer.
Well, I'm not sure I can make that meeting, but that it's fine for now.
Is that, okay. So anything else, Deb?
No.
Okay, and Chris?
No.
Bill?
No.
And nothing for me. So now roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And Bill?
Aye.
Okay, and an aye for me as well. So that meeting can be moved. So that ends that agenda item. And then as far as any other business, what do we just talking about the next upcoming meetings for the planning board?
Right. Your next scheduled meeting is June 16th. You don't have any new applications at this time, but I'd like to hold that date just in case anything comes in, and I'll let you know as that date nears. And then after that, you have the June 30th meeting with at least the continued hearing from earlier tonight on.
Great, thank you. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'd like to say one thing. Brian, you've done an excellent job as
We have
chair.
a motion on the
Thank you.
floor.
No.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a
I'll second.
And then discussion. So Dave? Deb? Chris?
No.
And Bill, your time to speak.
Brian, you've done a great job as chair. Thank you very much. I'm sure everybody else agrees. Other than that, go ahead.
I
Thank you.
agree.
So I don't have any other comments, so roll call vote to adjourn. So Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And aye for me as well. So the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.